Time.
Well, if you've caught a brief sight of that gentleman with all the hair at the back of the stands there, I can't enlighten you. Obviously somebody famous, or the cameras wouldn't have been on him. All the stars tend to drop in here at the US Open. Rafter looking a lot more composed and happy now, after a sticky start when he was broken early. Lapentti at 3-4, first set.
An interesting play from Rafter. It wasn't much of a return, but oftentimes if it's extra short or extra deep, that's an opportunity to get forward, and you can see Rafter came in behind it.
You've got to laugh at Rafter around the net. I mean, he's just a fabulous goalkeeper around there, isn't he?
15.
Well, take a look at how close he is to that. I mean, he is right on top of the net. And Lapentti's going right at him. This time he finds a little space down the backhand side.
Rafter could have moved there because he was going to play it late, Lapentti.
First service.
Frightening Lapentti into an error.
And here's a look at the Lapentti serve. Again, the toss is up, and again, he uses some of that power in his legs. He loads those quads, the energy, through the legs up into the toss. Not a bad motion.
Well, gutsy try for Rafter, but he had to leave the court open.
30.
25 years old, Lapentti. 28, Rafter. Now that's a weak and wobbly shot. He won't be too proud of that one.
Deuce.
Major mishit came from Lapentti's racket halfway through then, that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a hand-delivered invitation for Patrick Rafter to come to the net. I mean, you cannot hit a short ball like that because Rafter's going to come in.
Advantage,
Lapentti now with a point to level at 4-all. Remember the year in the French Open when Rafter got to the semi-final, chipping and charging, camping on the net on clay? An amazing performance.
I think that was 97 when Rafter got to the semis, but the year I remember too is also 89 when Michael Chang broke through, and Stefan Edberg was serving and volleying and chipping and charging, and that was the year I really felt Edberg should win. You know, he had Chang in that final.
I spoke to him about it. He agrees with you.
Oh man, he had Chang, and again,
He was a break-up final set.
that's too bad, and that's a good serve there. And as a serve and volleyer, you don't get many chances at the French. You know, McEnroe had his one chance, he lost it in the final. Edberg had his chance, lost it in the final. Great achievement for Rafter, of course. I think he lost to Sergi Bruguera in the semifinals. That was the year that Gustavo Kuerten beat Bruguera in the final.
Another great lob from lapentti. He really is using that shot to some advantage. And it's 4-all.
4 games on.
And speaking of Bjorn Borg, I mentioned him earlier. I mean, he was the guy who really, you know, changed the way you attacked guys who were coming to the net. I mean, all of a sudden he was playing with such heavy topspin. He'd dip the ball down at your feet 1 minute, and the next he'd be throwing up the topspin lob. And that's one of the toughest surfaces to play on right there. A little bumpy.
50.
Not as bumpy as where lapentti started with his father, who was a politician. He started on the beach in Guayaquil, or in Ecuador. And I imagine the ball's bounce off the sand must have been a bit erratic.
I'm sure you guys, and by you guys I mean the English Davis Cup squad, you're going to have some bumpy clay courts down in Ecuador.
And some very bumpy moments all round, I think.
Left. Pursers.
Great serve. Deep, wide, moving. He's ahead, but still on serve at the moment. 5-4.
5 games to 4. Time.
Well, everything is the same in the statistics for about 5 or 6 lines. 2 aces for both, 2 doubles false for both. First serve percentage, 66 for both. First serve points 1, 14 out of 19 for both, 74.5% for both. It's almost sinister how alike they are.
Although Rafter's won more points.
Oh, well, there's a difference.
That's the difference right there. 4 more points, and he's got 1 more game. 5-4 Rafter.
lapentti just rolls over it a bit, doesn't he? Hits it sort of almost flat, but coming over it a bit, and the ball accelerates off the ground, and that made it difficult for Rafter.
I think the boos you hear are from the ball boy requesting that ball be sent back. This isn't baseball. You can't keep that home run. You've got to send it back. Now, if they hit for 6 in cricket, do they have to throw the ball back? I mean,
I'm not going to answer these ridiculous questions from an American. I mean, you know, what do you think? No.
I don't know cricket, oh boy.
Oh, well, you should have. We'll talk about it sometime. You know that sometimes a bowler made an over, your mind is immediately racing, isn't it?
You bowled me over.
Two clever shots. Clever by Rafter. Even more clever by lapentti.
14.
Yeah, well, that's evidence of why this guy was ranked 6th in the world. I mean, that was a big-time shot. I mean, that was a heck of an approach from Rafter.
Rafter sort of spooned that one over. There's your man again.
You know, for a guy who was 6th in the world, you might say, well, what's happened to him since then? And I really think he struggled with his confidence. He had a stretch there in March, April, and May where he won only one match. And he got it together later in the season. We won the event in Kitzbühel on clay. But it's been a relatively off year for him. He really hasn't played as well as he has in past years.
Well, it's bad news for Britain, really, the Davis Cup, if he's peaking at this time in the season.
5 games all.
Because he's going to be a pivotal figure in that Davis Cup tie, obviously playing 2 singles and obviously playing the doubles as well, probably with his younger brother, Giovanni.
Well, it's interesting to note that, you know, the reason why you guys are going back down to Ecuador is because of this guy right here. The Australians beat Ecuador in the opening round. Rafter beating lapentti in straight sets on grass out in Perth, Australia. And that match, I think England and Ecuador will decide who will go back into the world group for 2001.
You're right.
Well, Rafter's won 10 straight points on his serve. So lapentti is something of a rut. He started out very well against the Rafter serve, but hasn't had much luck of late.
I think Rafter's serving better now, Steve, than he was earlier.
14.
And therefore his volleys are just that little bit easier. Good second serve, pressure still on. Rafter goes ahead, 6-5. Looks like we're heading for the lottery of a tiebreak.